I wore my best dress to Sunday dinner 'cause my son said it was a special evening. That was the word he used. Special. Not regular dinner. Not just, come by if you can. Not Mama. We're making chicken. Bring your cornbread. Special. So I treated it that way. I opened my closet that afternoon and looked past the everyday clothes, past the soft house dresses, past the church suits I had worn too many times, past the black skirt I saved for funerals, and I reached for the deep purple dress hanging in the back. It was not new, but it was beautiful. Soft fabric, long sleeves, a little shape at the waist. Not too fancy, but elegant enough to make a woman stand a little taller when she put it on. My late husband, Calvin, bought me that dress 3 years before he passed. We were going to a retirement dinner for one of his friends from the post office. When I came out of the bedroom wearing it, he looked at me for so long. I got shy. I said, "Calvin, stop staring." He smiled and said, "I'm trying to remember how I got lucky enough to come home to you." That was Calvin. Smooth when he wanted to be. Stubborn every other time. After he died, I wore that dress only twice. Once to church on our anniversary, because I wanted to feel close to him, and once to my niece's wedding, because my sister Ruth said, "You are not going to sit in the back looking like grief has a membership card." That Sunday, I took the dress out again. I held it against myself in the mirror. The woman looking back at me was 72 years old. Her hair was silver at the temples. Her hands had brown spots from years of washing dishes, folding laundry, and holding children through fevers. Her knees made sounds when she stood up too fast, but her eyes still had light in them, and that dress still remembered her. I pressed it carefully. I put on pearl earrings. I brushed my hair into soft waves. I added a little lipstick, not too bright, just enough. Then I stepped back and looked at myself. For one quiet moment I smiled. Not because I looked young, I did not, but because I looked like somebody who mattered, and I wanted to matter that night. My son, Terrence, had called me 2 days before. His voice was cheerful, almost too cheerful. "Mama, we're having Sunday dinner at the house. I want you to come." I smiled into the phone. "I always come when you invite me." "I know, but this one is special." "There's that word," I said. He laughed softly. "What word?" "Special." He paused, then said, "Yeah, Nadia's parents are coming." Nadia was my daughter-in-law. My son had been married to her for 5 years. She was beautiful, polished, and careful with her words, in a way that never fully relaxed around me. She came from a family with money, not just comfortable money. The kind of money where people say things like summer house and wine room, like everybody knows what that means. Her parents lived across town in a gated neighborhood, where even the trees looked like they had been approved by a committee. They were not cruel to me, not openly. But there was always a little pause when they spoke to me, like they were deciding how simple their sentences needed to be. I had worked 31 years as a school cafeteria manager. I had raised 2 children. I had buried a husband. I had kept my home paid, my bills current, and my family fed. But to some people, if your hands have ever served food on a tray, they think that is the only room you belong in. Still, I said yes, because Terrence asked, because I missed being part of his life, because I wanted peace with Nadia, because Sunday dinner used to mean family, and I was still foolish enough to believe family could remember its own meaning. "What should I bring?" I asked. Terrence hesitated. Maybe just yourself. That should have warned me. In our family, nobody told me to bring just myself. They asked for sweet potato pie, collard greens, macaroni, peach cobbler, my dressing with sage and onion. Just myself? I asked. Yes, Mama. Nadia has the menu handled. The menu, not dinner. The menu. I smiled even though he could not see me. All right, baby. Then he added, maybe dress nice. Nadia's doing a more formal table. A more formal table. I looked down at my old house slippers while holding the phone. Do I usually embarrass your table? He went quiet. No, Mama. That's not what I meant. What did you mean? I just mean, everyone is dressing up a little. I let the silence stretch, then I said, all right. His voice softened. Please come, Mama. That did something to me. Please come. A mother can be wounded and still be moved by those words. So I wore my best dress. I even baked a small lemon pound cake, though he told me not to bring anything. I wrapped it in foil and placed it in a pretty cake carrier. My mother taught me never to walk into family dinner empty-handed, even if they say they have everything, especially then. Left my house at 5:30. The dinner was at 6. Terrence lived 20 minutes away in a beautiful brick home with tall windows and a wide porch. I remembered when he and Nadia bought it. He called me from the front yard, excited like a boy. Mama, we got the house. I cried on the phone. Not because the house was large, because my son had a home. That meant something to a mother. I had helped him with the down payment. Not all of it, but enough. Calvin's insurance money had come after he died, and I gave Terrence $20,000 because he said the bank needed more to close. I did not tell Nadia's parents. I did not tell anyone. I gave it because he was my son. Because Calvin would have wanted him secure. Because I believed helping your child build a home meant you would always have a place in it. That is what I believed. Until that Sunday. When I pulled into the driveway, I saw cars already there. Nadia's parents' black Mercedes, her sister's white SUV. A sleek gray car I did not recognize. Everything looked arranged. Even the porch lanterns were on, though the sun had not fully gone down. Through the front window, I could see movement. People. Laughter. Light. I sat in my car for a moment and touched my dress. Calvin, I whispered. Walk in with me. I took the cake carrier and went to the door. Before I could knock, Nadia opened it. She was wearing a cream dress with gold earrings and her hair pulled back. She looked lovely. She always did. Mrs. Hayes, she said. Mrs. Hayes. After 5 years, I had once told her she could call me Mama Joyce if she wanted. She smiled and said, That's sweet, but she never did. Hello, Nadia, I said. I leaned slightly for a hug. She gave me one, light and quick. Her eyes moved to the cake carrier. Oh, she said. You brought something. A lemon pound cake. Her smile tightened. That's kind. We already have dessert, but thank you. Already have dessert. Not. That sounds wonderful. Not. Terrence loves your pound cake. Already have dessert. I held the carrier with both hands. Well, maybe someone will want a slice later. Of course. But the way she said it told me the cake had already been dismissed. I stepped into the foyer. The house smelled like roasted chicken, rosemary, candles, and something sweet I could not name. The dining room was visible from the entrance. The table was beautiful. White tablecloth, Gold chargers, crystal glasses, fresh flowers in the center, tall candles, a little card at each place setting. Name cards. That was new. I looked at them from where I stood. I saw Mr. Parker, Mrs. Parker, Simone, David, Nadia, Terrence, a few others. My eyes searched. Joyce, Mrs. Hayes, Mama, anything. I did not see my name. But maybe it was hidden by the flowers. Maybe. Hope is stubborn that way. Terrence came down the hallway. Mama, his face lit up when he saw me. For 1 second, everything was all right. He hugged me. And this time, it was real. He held me long enough for me to feel his heart beating. You look beautiful, he said. I smiled. Thank you, baby. He looked at my dress. Is that Dad's favorite? I nodded. His eyes softened. Yeah. I remember. That moment saved me from turning around. Nadia cleared her throat. Terrence, can you help David with the wine? He stepped back. Sure. Then he looked at me. Make yourself comfortable, Mama. Make yourself comfortable. Those words are easy when there is a place prepared for you. Hard when there is not. I walked into the living room. Nadia's parents were sitting on the sofa. Her father, Charles Parker, stood when he saw me. Mrs. Hayes, he said with that polished smile. Mr. Parker. Her mother Vivian looked me up and down, not rudely, but completely. Joyce, that color is lovely on you. Thank you. Her sister Simone kissed the air near my cheek. Good to see you. You too. The conversation resumed around me. Wine, a charity event, a new restaurant downtown, someone's trip to Italy. I stood there holding my cake carrier because Nadia had not told me where to put it. Terrence was in the dining room with David, opening bottles. Nadia moved quickly between kitchen and table, arranging things that already looked arranged. I finally walked to the kitchen myself. It was spotless, too spotless for a dinner being prepared. Catered trays sat on the island. That explained the rosemary. I placed my cake carrier near the far counter. Young woman in black pants and a white shirt looked at it. She must have been helping serve. Should I put that somewhere? She asked. Before I could answer, Nadia appeared. No, I'll handle it. She took the cake carrier from me. Not harshly, but quickly, like it was an item left in the wrong room. She opened a pantry door and slid it onto a lower shelf. The pantry. Cake went into the pantry. Something in me tightened, but I told myself not to be sensitive. It was just cake, just cake. Terrence came in. Mama, you want something to drink? Water is fine, Nadia said. Sparkling or still? I almost laughed. Still. Terrence poured me water and handed it to me. His fingers brushed mine. Everything okay? He asked quietly. I looked at my son. His eyes searched my face. Maybe he saw something. Maybe he did not want to see too much. I'm all right, I said. That was the first lie of the evening. At 6:15, Nadia clapped her hands softly. Dinner is ready. Everyone began moving toward the dining room. I waited. Older habits. Let guests go first. Do not crowd. Do not act like you are desperate for a seat. People found their places by the little cards. There was laughter. Oh, I'm beside you. Charles, you're at the end. Simone, this is yours. Terrence stood near the head of the table, Nadia at the other end. I walked closer and looked again. Every chair had a name card. Every chair had a plate. Every plate had a folded napkin shaped like a fan. There were 10 chairs, 10 names, none mine. I stood behind the last chair and felt the floor shift under me. Terence noticed. His face changed. He looked at the table, then at Nadia. Nadia. She came beside him. Her smile stayed in place. Yes? He lowered his voice, but I could hear. Where's Mama's seat? That silence was small, but everyone heard it. Nadia looked toward the kitchen, then back at him. Oh, I thought... She stopped. Terence's jaw tightened. You thought what? She gave a little nervous laugh. Mrs. Hayes said she likes being comfortable. I set up a quieter place for her in the kitchen nook. The kitchen nook. My ears rang. Vivian Parker looked down at her napkin. Charles cleared his throat. Simone pretended to check her phone. Terence stared at his wife. In the kitchen? Nadia spoke faster now. It's not like that. It's just that the table is full, and I thought with all the formal dishes, she might prefer somewhere more relaxed. And the server will bring her plate. The server. Bring my plate. To the kitchen. In my son's house. Wearing my best dress. I looked at Terence. This was the moment. Every family has moments where love either stands up or sits down. My son looked at me, then at Nadia, then at the table, then back at me. And for one painful second he did nothing. Nothing. No words. No movement. Just silence. That second felt longer than the whole evening. Nadia turned to me with a smile that looked like glass. Mrs. Hayes, I hope you don't mind. It's very cozy. I had them put a cushion on the chair. A cushion. Like that made it better. I did not speak. I could not. My eyes moved to the dining table again. White cloth, gold plates, crystal, name cards, all those little pieces of belonging. None for me. Then I looked toward the kitchen. There, near the window, was a small round table. One chair, one placement, one glass, one folded napkin. A single place, set away from everybody else. Like I was staff, like I was an afterthought, like I was the old mother. They did not know where to put once. The important people arrived. My hand went to the pearl earring Calvin had bought me. The room was silent now. Even the candles seemed too still. Terence finally said, "Mama." His voice was quiet. Too quiet. I looked at him. I wanted him to say, "Take my seat." I wanted him to say, "Nadia, this is unacceptable." I wanted him to say, "My mother sits at my table." Instead, he said, "We can fix this. We can fix this." Not, "This should never have happened." Not, "I'm sorry. We can fix this." Something inside me stepped back from him. Not all the way. A mother's heart rarely closes in one motion. But enough. I lifted my chin. "No need," I said. Nadia exhaled, almost relieved. I smiled gently. But it was not a happy smile. It was the kind of smile a woman wears when she refuses to let strangers watch her break. I see where I have been placed. Terence flinched. "Mama, please." I looked at the kitchen nook, then at the table, then at Nadia. I wore my best dress to sit with my family. I said softly. "Not to be served alone in the kitchen, low unmoved," Vivian whispered. "Nadia." Nadia's face reddened. Terence stepped toward me. "Mama, let me." I lifted my hand. Do not fix it in front of people after letting it happen in front of people. His face crumpled. I turned toward the kitchen. For 1 second, everyone thought I was going to sit at that little table. I could feel it. Their relief waiting. "The old mother will take the kitchen seat. She will be hurt but polite. She will eat quietly. She will not ruin dinner." But I did not go to the kitchen nook. I went to the pantry. I opened the door, took out my lemon pound cake, closed the door. Then I walked back through the dining room. My heels made soft sounds on the floor. Terrence whispered, "Mama." I looked at him one last time. "You enjoy your special dinner." Then I walked out of my son's house with my cake in my hands and my best dress on my back. Behind me, nobody followed. Not right away. That told me enough. The cold air outside hit my face like mercy. I did not know I had been holding my breath until I stepped onto the porch. My hands were shaking so badly, the cake carrier rattled. I stood under the porch light for a moment, trying to steady myself. Inside the house, I could hear muffled voices. Not words, just voices. Confusion, embarrassment, maybe anger, maybe shame. But nobody opened the door. I walked to my car, slowly, carefully, because if I rushed, I might fall. And if I fell in that driveway, someone would say, "See, this is why she should have sat in the kitchen." I placed the cake on the passenger seat. Then I got in and closed the door. The purple dress gathered around my knees. The pearl earrings touched my neck. The lipstick I had applied so carefully now felt foolish. I gripped the steering wheel and stared through the windshield. The dining room windows glowed golden. I could see shadows moving behind the curtains. 10 people at a beautiful table. 1 mother in a car. For a moment, I thought I might go back inside, not because I wanted to, because old habits are strong. Mothers are trained to save the evening, to smooth things over, to say, "It's all right," to accept the small chair, the cold plate, the quiet insult, to protect everybody from the discomfort of seeing what they did. I almost did it. Then I heard Calvin's voice in my memory. "Joyce, don't make yourself small, just to make other people comfortable." He had said that to me once after a church committee tried to make me cook for an event while leaving my name off the program. I had laughed then. Now I held on to it. I started the car. As I backed out, the front door opened. Terrence came running out. "Mama!" I stopped. He came to the driver's side. His face was full of panic. I rolled the window halfway down. He bent toward me. "Mama, please don't leave." I looked at him. "Why?" The question caught him. "What do you mean, why? Why should I stay?" He looked back at the house, then at me. "Because you're my mother." I nodded slowly. "Yes, that is why I came." His eyes filled. "Mama, I didn't know she set it up like that." "But when you saw it, you waited." He opened his mouth, closed it. That was the truth. "I was shocked," he said. "So was I." I didn't know what to say. I felt something sharp rise in me. "Terrence, when your mother is placed alone in the kitchen, you do not need a speech. You need a spine." His face changed like I had slapped him. Maybe I had, with words. He looked down. "You're right. That surprised me. But not enough to stop the hurt." He said, "Come back in. I'll give you my seat." "No, please, no. I'll make Nadia apologize." "Make?" He winced. I shook my head. "An apology that has to be dragged out in front of company is not repentance. It is damage control." He wiped his face with one hand. "Mama, please, don't drive upset." "I am upset, but I can drive. I'll follow you." "No, you will go back inside." "I don't care about dinner." "You cared enough to stand quiet." His eyes filled with tears. I had not seen my son cry in years. Not even when Calvin died. He had stood at the funeral like a stone pillar, taking care of everyone else, refusing to break. But now his eyes shined under the porch light. "Mama, I'm sorry. I know." "Do you?" "Yes. But sorry has not had time to become anything useful." He swallowed. "What do I do?" I looked at the house behind him. "Go back inside and decide what kind of husband you are, without forgetting what kind of son you should be." He stared at me, then nodded. I rolled up the window. He stepped back. I drove away. In the rearview mirror, he stood in the driveway until I turned the corner. The drive home was quiet. Too quiet. I did not turn on the radio. Could not bear music. When I got to my house, I carried the cake inside and placed it on my kitchen table. My little house smelled like lavender and furniture polish. Nothing fancy. Nothing catered. But it welcomed me without conditions. I went to my bedroom and looked at myself in the mirror. The dress was still beautiful. That made me cry. Not because the dress failed me, because I had dressed with hope. I had stood in that mirror thinking, maybe this dinner would bring me closer to my son's new world. Instead, I learned there was no place card for me in it. I unzipped the dress slowly, hung it back in the closet, changed into a soft robe. Then I sat at the kitchen table with the pound cake. I cut one slice, just one, placed it on a plate, made tea, and ate my own cake alone. It tasted good. That made me cry harder. Because they had hidden something made with love in a pantry, and it was still good. Sometimes people's rejection does not make a thing worthless. It only reveals their taste. Around 8:30, my phone rang. Terrence. I did not answer. Then Kim, my daughter. She lived in another city, but news travels faster than respect in families. I let it ring. Then a text from Terrence appeared. "Mama, please answer." I left the dinner. "I'm sorry." Another message came. "Nadia wants to talk." I stared at that one. Nadia wants to talk. Of course she did. People often want to talk after the damage is public. I placed the phone face down. At 9, there was a knock on my door. I froze. Then, another. Joyce. It was my sister Ruth. Not my daughter Ruth. My sister Ruth. She was 76, 5'2", and carried enough authority to scare men twice her size. I opened the door. She stood there wearing a blue coat and holding a covered dish. Her eyes took in my robe, my face, the cake on the table. "Who died?" she asked. I stepped aside. My dignity almost did. She came in. "What happened?" I told her. From the phone call. The dress, the cake, the name cards, the kitchen nook. Terrence's silence. When I said Nadia had a single place set in the kitchen, Ruth put her dish down slowly. Then she removed her earrings. I frowned. "Why are you taking off your earrings?" "Because I may need to fight." "Ruth, I'm old, not dead." Despite everything, I laughed. Then I cried again. She hugged me. My older sister smelled like peppermint and cold air. She held me the way only someone who knew your childhood could hold you. Not carefully, completely. After a while, she said, "Where is the dress?" "In the closet." "Good. Do not let that woman ruin Calvin's dress." That made me cry again. Calvin's dress? Yes. It was not Nadia's insult. It was Calvin's memory. Ruth sat at my table and opened the dish she had brought. Greens. "Eat." I had cake. Cake is not dinner. It was enough. No, it was comfort. Now eat food. I did. Because Ruth was right. The greens were spicy, and the warmth helped. She asked, "What did Terrence do?" "At first? Nothing." Her face hardened. "And after?" "He followed me outside. That mem carried judgment, he apologized. Apology is a receipt. It proves a transaction happened. It does not refund the hurt. I stared at her. That was good. I know. Ruth had sayings for everything. Some were useful, some were just dramatic. This one was both. At 10, my phone rang again. This time, I answered because it was Kim. "Mama?" she said. Her voice was tight. "Hello, baby." What happened? I closed my eyes. Did Terrence call you? Yes. He was crying. That made my chest ache. He should cry, Ruth said loudly. I waved at her to hush. Kim said, "Is Aunt Ruth there?" "Yes." Good. I told Kim the story. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "I'm coming tomorrow." You don't have to. I'm coming. Kim. Mama, I'm not coming to manage you. I'm coming to, sit with you. That softened me. All right. Then she said, "I'm so sorry." You didn't do it. No. But I know how many times we've expected you to just take things because you're Mama. That sentence hit me because it was true. Not only Terrence, not only Nadia, all of them had done it in small ways, changed plans without asking, expected me to cook, expected me to babysit, expected me to forgive quickly, expected me to be grateful for whatever corner was left. "I'm tired, Kim," I whispered. "I know. No, I'm tired in a place sleep doesn't reach." She cried then. So did I. After we hung up, Ruth helped me wash the dishes. The phone rang again. "Terrence." This time, Ruth looked at it. "You want me to answer?" "No." "You sure?" "Yes, because I have words prepared." "That is exactly why no." I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, my phone buzzed with a message. "Mama, I told everyone dinner was over. I sent Nadia's family home. I should have done that before you left. I am sorry. I will come tomorrow if you let me." I read it twice. Then I handed it to Ruth. She read it and sniffed. Late, but not useless. That was generous coming from Ruth. I did not reply. Not because I wanted to punish him, because I needed him to sit with the silence he had given me at that table. That night, after Ruth left, I walked to my closet. I opened the door. The purple dress hung quietly in the dark. I touched the sleeve. "I'm sorry," I whispered. Then I corrected myself. "No, I'm not sorry. I was not sorry for wearing it. Not sorry for hoping. Not sorry for leaving. The shame did not belong to the dress, and it did not belong to me." The next morning I woke before sunrise. For a moment I forgot. Then the memory came back like cold water. Name, cards, kitchen nook, cushion on the chair. I sat on the edge of the bed and breathed slowly. Then I got up, made coffee, opened the curtains, and took the pound cake out of the carrier. I cut it into slices, wrapped each slice carefully. At 10, Kim arrived. She hugged me and held on. She brought no advice, no dramatic speech, just herself. That was good. Around noon, Terrence came. He stood on my porch holding flowers in one hand and my cake carrier in the other. I had forgotten the carrier was at my house. Then I realized he had brought something else in it. Opened the door. He looked terrible, eyes red, shirt wrinkled. "Mama," he said. I looked at the flowers. "If those are apology flowers, they can sit on the porch until they understand what happened." His mouth trembled. Kim behind me whispered, "Mama." I lifted my hand. Terrence nodded. "They are apology flowers." Then put them there. He placed them on the porch table, then lifted the cake carrier. I brought your cake plate back. I have the cake. I know. I washed it. That small thing moved me. Not enough, but some. I stepped aside. Come in. He entered like a guest. That hurt both of us. Kim sat at the table. Terrence sat across from me. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then he said, I failed you. 3 words. Clean. No explanation. No wife-blaming. No, I was shocked. No, you know how Nadia is. I looked at him. Yes. He nodded, tears falling already. When I saw there was no seat for you, I should have moved immediately. I should have taken. Your hand sat you at the table and told Nadia that if my mother was not seated, nobody was eating. My throat tightened. Yes. I didn't. No. I was embarrassed. I waited. He swallowed. Not of you. Of the scene. Of Nadia's parents. Of the tension. I was trying to figure out how to fix it without making the evening explode. And while you tried to save the evening, your mother stood there with no chair. He covered his face. I know. Kim wiped her eyes. Terrence looked at me again. I told everyone to leave after you left. Nadia cried. Her mother was upset. Her father said he understood why you left. Simone barely spoke. I listened. Nadia and I argued for 2 hours. About me. About everything. He took a breath. She said she thought you would be more comfortable in the kitchen. I stared at him. He quickly said, I know. I told her that was insulting. Did she believe you? I don't know. That honesty hurt, but I preferred it over false hope. Terrence continued. She said the table was planned for her parents and their friends. She said she didn't realize how bad it looked. Terrence. I know. It did not look bad. It was bad. He nodded. Yes, ma'am. That yes, ma'am nearly broke me, because my son only said that when he was truly ashamed. I asked, why was I invited? His face twisted. What? If there was no seat for me, why invite me? There was supposed to be a seat. Where? He opened his mouth, closed it. I waited. He looked down. I didn't check. There it was. Not cruelty from him. Neglect. Sometimes neglect cuts almost as deep. I assumed Nadia handled it, he said. And Nadia handled me into the kitchen. His face crumpled again. I'm sorry. I leaned back. You keep saying that. I don't know what else to say. Then stop saying and start understanding. He nodded. I said, when I walked into your house, I was not looking for honor like a queen. I was looking for a chair like family. Kim covered her mouth. Terrence cried silently. I wore a dress your father loved because you said the dinner was special. I baked your favorite cake even though you told me not to bring anything. I came wanting to be proud of you. He whispered, Mama. And I left feeling like the help. No. Yes. He closed his eyes. I continued. You may not have meant it, but that is what happened. He nodded. That's what happened. Good. Truth had entered the room, not all of it, but enough to begin. Then I asked, where is Nadia? His shoulders tightened. At home. Why? I thought you wouldn't want to see her. You thought correctly. He looked at me. But at some point she needs to speak for herself. He nodded slowly. She does. And you need to decide what kind of household you are leading. His face shifted. My household? Yes, that is your home too. Your wife hosted the dinner, but you are not a guest there. If your mother is disrespected under your roof, you cannot hide behind table settings. Kim nodded quietly. Terrence said, I know. Do you? I do now. I studied him. He looked broken. But broken is not the same as changed. Change takes time, I said. I love you. He let out a breath like he had been waiting for those words. But I do not trust you in the same way today. His face fell. I understand. I hope you do. I do. We will see. That became the phrase I used often after that. We will see. Not yes. Not no. Not forever. We will see. The week after that Sunday dinner felt longer than a month. People called, people texted, some because they cared, some because they wanted detail, some because family embarrassment travels faster than family accountability. Vivian Parker called first. Nadia's mother. I almost did not answer. But curiosity is one of the last things to leave a woman, and mine was still alive. Joyce, she said. Not Mrs. Hayes this time. Joyce, I owe you an apology. That surprised me. I sat down. I am listening. Her voice was careful, but not cold. What happened at dinner was wrong. I should have said something immediately. Yes, you should have. A pause. You are right. That surprised me again. Vivian Parker was not a woman who looked like she heard those words often, she continued. I saw the kitchen setting when we arrived. Nadia told me it was for a helper. I assumed someone was serving. My stomach turned. A helper, I see. When you arrived, I realized. She stopped. I realized too late. Too late for what? To stop pretending I didn't understand. That was honest. I waited. She sighed. I have spent too many years valuing appearances. I taught my daughter to value them too. That does not excuse her. It explains part of it. I looked out my window. A bird sat on the fence. What did she say? After I left? She was defensive. I imagine. Then Terrence ended dinner. I closed my eyes. So he told me? Charles was upset. Simone was embarrassed. David wanted to leave immediately. It was unpleasant. I almost laughed. Unpleasant. What a soft word. It was humiliating, I said. For me, Vivian grew quiet, then said, Yes, you are right. It was humiliating for you. That mattered, not enough to fix it. But it mattered, she continued. I am sorry, Joyce. I should have stood and said you could have my seat. My throat tightened. Why didn't you? Another pause. Because I am not as brave as I pretend. That was the first thing Vivian Parker had ever said to me that felt fully human. I did not forgive her on that call, but I thanked her for calling. After we hung up, I sat for a while thinking about appearances. How many times had I let appearances trap me? Smile for the guests. Do not make a scene. Let it go. Be gracious. Wear pain like a good woman. Wears pearls. I was tired of pearls being used that way. A few days later, Nadia sent a text. Mrs. Hayes, I would like to come apologize in person when you are ready. I read it 3 times. Then I replied, I am not ready. She answered, I understand. I did not know if she did. But at least she did not push. That Saturday, I went to church. I almost stayed home because I knew people might ask questions. They did not directly. Church people can ask without asking. Sister Joyce, how was your Sunday dinner last week? Did you have a nice time with your son? You look tired, baby. Everything all right? I smiled and said, God is still working. That covered everything and nothing. After service, Pastor Elaine found me near the fellowship hall. She was a tall woman with kind eyes and a voice that could calm a storm or start one, depending on what the Lord required. Joyce, she said, walk with me. We walked down the side hallway. She did not ask in front of people. I appreciated that. In her office, she closed the door. Then she said, Ruth called me. I sighed. Of course she did. She loves you. She is nosy. Both can be. True. I sat down. Pastor Elaine sat across from me. Tell me what happened in your own words. So I did. By then I could tell it without crying every minute, only every few. She listened. When I finished, she said, That was not just poor planning. That was dishonor. The word landed heavy. Dishonor. Yes, that was it. Not just embarrassment. Not just a seating mistake. Dishonor. She continued. Forgiveness does not require you to pretend it was smaller than it was. I nodded. I know I should forgive. You should heal. Forgiveness may be part of that. But do not rush to make everyone else comfortable. I looked down. That is hard. Of course it is. You have been trained by motherhood to absorb impact. Absorb impact. That described my whole life. Bills, sickness, bad moods, disappointments, other people's needs. Mothers absorb so much that families start thinking softness means there is no limit. Pastor Elaine said, What do you need? Now? I thought about it. I need my son to stop being afraid of his wife's embarrassment more than my pain. She nodded. That is clear. I need Nadia to understand I am not furniture to be placed where it suits her. Also clear. And I need to stop accepting crumbs just because they come from people I love. Pastor Elaine smiled gently. That one is for you. Yes. Before I left, she prayed with me. Not one of those loud prayers that try to impress the walls. A quiet one. She asked God to give me wisdom, firmness, and a heart that did not turn bitter. I needed all three. That evening, Terence came by. He had called first. He brought groceries, not flowers, real things, milk, eggs, tea, fresh fruit, and one small bag of lemons. I looked at the lemons. He said, For your pound cake, if you ever want to make it again. My eyes stung. I will. He placed everything on the counter, then stopped. May I put these away? May I? That mattered. Yes, I said. He put the groceries away. Not perfectly, but with care. Then we sat, in the living room. He looked at the purple dress hanging on the laundry room door. Had cleaned it and left it there before putting it away. His eyes filled. I keep thinking about Dad, he said. So do I. He would be so disappointed. Yes. Terence flinched. I did not soften it. He needed truth, not protection. But he would also expect you to make it right, I said. He nodded. I'm trying. Trying how? He took a breath. I told Nadia we need counseling. My eyebrows lifted. That is a big step. She didn't like it. I imagine not. But she agreed to one session. One session is the start. He looked at me. I told her I won't host another dinner where you are treated like an obligation. My chest tightened. And what did she say? She cried. She said I was choosing you over her. There it was. The old foolishness. A wife thinking honor for a mother is competition. What did you say? I said respect is not a pie. Giving you some doesn't leave less for her. I stared at him. That sounds like something your father would say. He smiled sadly. I hoped so. Maybe my son was beginning to stand. Not perfectly, but enough to show his legs still worked. A few days later, Nadia called. Not texted, called. I let it ring once, twice. Then answered. Hello. Her voice was soft. Mrs. Hayes? Yes. Thank you for answering. I said nothing. I know you said you weren't ready. I don't want to push. I just wanted to say I am sorry. Not fully, because I know I need to say it in person. But I wanted you to hear my voice. I looked at the wall. All right. She swallowed. I was wrong. That was a start. I did not think about how it would feel for you to come in dressed beautifully and see no place at the table. I did not think about what the kitchen setting said. Or maybe I did think, and I ignored it because it was convenient. That sentence made me sit straighter. Convenient. Truth was getting closer. She continued. I wanted the dinner to look a certain way. And I did not fit the look. She began crying. I am ashamed to say yes. There it was. The clean wound. I closed my eyes. Hurt rose again, but so did clarity. Thank you for telling the truth. I am sorry. I hear you. She waited. Maybe for more. I did not give it. I am not ready to see you yet, I said. I understand. And Nadia? Yes? Do not apologize to remove your guilt. Apologize because you understand my hurt. She cried harder. Yes, ma'am. After we hung up, I felt tired. But different. There is a kind of tired that comes from carrying lies, and another kind from finally setting them down. That second tired is painful, but cleaner. The next month became a slow test. Terrence visited every Sunday afternoon, not for dinner, just to sit. Sometimes we talked, sometimes we watched an old movie. Sometimes he fixed things I allowed him to fix. He asked each time, can I tighten this cabinet handle? Can I move that box? Can I take the trash out? At first it felt strange, then it felt respectful. Kim came one weekend and took me shopping. Not because I needed clothes, because she said, Mama, I want to see you try on something beautiful and not have it attached to pain. I tried on a green dress, then a navy one, then a burgundy coat I did not need but loved. Kim bought it for me. I told her it was too expensive. She said, then consider it a daughter tax for all the years you bought us school shoes. I laughed. I wore the coat to church the next day. People complimented it. I let them. As for the purple dress, it stayed in my closet. Not because I was ashamed, because I was waiting. I did not know for what, but I knew that dress deserved a better ending. One afternoon, Ruth came over and found me staring at it. She leaned against the doorframe. You planning to fight the dress? No. Wear it. I'm not ready. Then don't. I looked at her. That's all? She shrugged. It's your dress. Your timing. That was the most respectful thing anyone had said about it. Your timing. Healing has timing. Families often want you to heal on their schedule. Quickly. Quietly. Before the next holiday, before the next photo, before their guilt gets too heavy. But healing does not follow dinner invitations. It comes when truth has enough room. To be continued. Part 4. 3 months after the Sunday dinner, Nadia came to my house. She had asked first. That mattered. Her text said, Mrs. Hayes. I would like to come speak with you. No pressure, no excuses. Only when you are ready." I waited 2 days before answering. Then I wrote, "Saturday at 2. Terence does not need to come." She replied, "Thank you. I will be there." "At 1:30 on Saturday?" Ruth called. "You want me to come over?" "No." "You sure?" "No. I can sit in the driveway." "Ruth, I can wear sunglasses and look casual." "You have never looked casual in your life," she laughed. "Call me after. I will." Nadia arrived at exactly 2. Not early, not late. She knocked. When I opened the door, she looked different. No polished smile. No perfect hostess face. She wore simple slacks and a blue blouse. Her hair was pulled back. She carried nothing, no flowers, no gift, no cake to compete with mine. "Good. Mrs. Hayes," she said. "Nadia, thank you for seeing me." I stepped aside. We sat in the living room, not the kitchen. That was deliberate. I wanted her to speak to me where guests sat, where family sat, not where she had placed me. She looked around the room. Her eyes landed on a photo of Calvin and me. He had his arm around my waist. I was wearing the purple dress. Nadia's face changed. "That's the dress," she said softly. "Yes." I didn't know. I looked at her. "You should not have needed to know its history to treat me with dignity." She nodded immediately. "You're right. Good. No defense." She folded her hands. "I have been trying to understand why I did what I did without making excuses." I stayed quiet. She continued. "I wanted that dinner to impress my parents." "I know. I wanted them to see that Terence and I were doing well, that our home was elegant, that I could host, like my mother, that I belonged in the world I came from and the world I married into." Her voice trembled. "And I thought you made that harder." There it was. Not dressed up, not softened. I felt the sting. But I respected the truth. "How?" She looked ashamed. "Because you are real in a way I have spent my life trying not to be." I frowned slightly. She continued. "My mother's house always looked perfect, but it was cold. Everything had rules. Which fork, which glass, which topics, which people were acceptable. When I met Terence, your home was warm, loud, food everywhere, people laughing. You hugged people with both arms." Her eyes filled. "At first, I loved it. Then I got scared of it." "Scared?" "Because Terence relaxed there in a way he never did around my family. And I didn't know how to create that. So I tried to create what I knew. A perfect table. Yet listened. But a perfect table with no place for his mother," I said. She closed her eyes. "Yes." "Why the kitchen?" she cried then. A few tears. Not dramatic. "Because I told myself you would be more comfortable there. But the truth is, I thought my parents would judge me if you sat at the main table and spoke freely." I looked at her. "Speak freely means..." "What?" she swallowed. "Tell family stories. Mention the cake. Talk about the old neighborhood. Be yourself. Be yourself." That hurt more than I expected. Not because she said it cruelly. Because the truth was so small and ugly. She was not hiding a scandal. She was hiding me. Not because I was bad. Because I was not polished enough for the picture she wanted. Sat back. "Nadia, do you understand what you taught me that night?" She shook her head. "You taught me that, in my son's house, my love could be useful, but my presence could be inconvenient." She covered her mouth. I continued. "You wanted the warmth of the man I raised, But you did not want the woman who raised him at your table. She broke down then, full tears, shoulders shaking. For the first time, I believed she was not crying because she had been caught. She was crying because she finally saw me. I am so sorry, she said. I let her cry. Then I said, I believe you are sorry. She looked up. But I do not trust you yet. She nodded quickly. I know. Do you? Yes. Terrence told me trust has to be earned in small pieces. That sounded like something I had told him. Good. She continued. I want to earn it. Then do not stop by inviting me to another dinner. She looked surprised. I wasn't. You were thinking about it. She smiled sadly. A little. Of course. People like to repair wounds in the same room where they made them. But I am not ready to sit at your table. I understand. Instead, start by seeing me outside your need to host. She nodded slowly. What does that mean? It means come visit, sit, talk, ask me about Calvin, ask me about Terrence when he was little. Ask me about something besides what I can cook or what role I will play at your event. She cried again. I can do that. We will see. There was that phrase. I was getting good at it. Before she left, she stood near the door. May I ask one thing? I nodded. Would you tell me about the dress? Not now if you don't want to. But someday. I looked toward the photo. Calvin's smile, my younger face, the purple dress. Someday, I said. That was not yes, but it was not no. After she left, I called Ruth. Well, she said. She told the truth. Did it hurt? Yes. Truth often enters without wiping its feet. I smiled. She cried. Good crying or performance crying? Good crying, I think. We'll file it under pending. That became our joke. Nadia was pending. But pending is better than rejected. Over the next 2 months, she visited 3 times. The first time, we talked about simple things. Gardening.church. A recipe she wanted to try. The second time, she asked about Calvin. I told her how he proposed. He had hidden the ring in a box of saltine crackers because I always ate them with soup. I almost swallowed my own engagement ring. Nadia laughed so hard she cried. Real laughter. Not polite laughter. The third time, she asked if she could see old pictures of Terrence. I brought out albums. There he was. Tooth missing. Knees scraped. Graduation cap crooked. Sleeping on Calvin's chest. Nadia touched one photo gently. I forget he was someone's baby before he was my husband. That sentence softened something in me. Yes, I said. He was. She looked at me. Thank you for raising him. I nodded. That thank you reached places. An apology had not. Because sometimes what a mother needs is not only sorry for the harm, but recognition for the love. Terrence changed too. He began correcting small things in the moment. Not loudly, not performatively, but clearly. One evening, we were at Kim's house for a small family dinner. Kim had invited only close family. No Parkers, no formal table, just food and laughter. When everyone sat down, one chair was missing because Kim miscounted. Before I could say, anything, Terrence stood. Mama, take mine. I'll grab another. Simple. Immediate. No hesitation. My eyes filled. He noticed. I should have done that the first time. He said softly. Yes, I said. He nodded, then went for a chair. That moment did not erase the old one. But it placed a new memory beside it, a better one. By summer, Nadia invited me to lunch, not at her house, a small cafe near the park. Neutral ground. I wore the burgundy coat Kim bought me, even though it was warm and I had to carry it over my arm. Nadia smiled when she saw me. "That coat is beautiful. Thank you." We ordered sandwiches and iced tea. No crystal, no name cards, no silent judgment. Halfway through lunch, Nadia said, "My mother asked about you." I raised an eyebrow. "Did she? She wants to invite you to a charity brunch." I almost laughed. That sounds dangerous. Nadia smiled. "I told her I would ask you, not decide for you. Progress. What did you tell her about me?" "I told her you might say no. And I told her that would be your right. More progress. I did say no. Not because I hated Vivian, because I did not want to be someone's proof of growth at a charity brunch. Maybe later. Not then." Nadia accepted it. That mattered more than the invitation. One day in August, I finally took out the purple dress again. I held it up in the light. It was still beautiful. But now the memory attached to it was mixed. Calvin's love, Nadia's table, my exit, Terrence's tears. A dress can carry many stories. I decided it needed one more. A better one. I called Terrence. "Are you busy Saturday?" "No, Mama, why?" "I want to go to dinner." "Sure, where?" "Somewhere nice." He paused. "Okay. And I am wearing the purple dress." Silence. Then his voice softened. "Yes, ma'am. I want you and Nadia to come." Another silence. "Are you sure?" "Yes." "Do you want Kim too? Aunt Ruth?" "No, just you two." He took a breath. "Okay." "But Terrence?" "Yes." "If there is no seat for me, I am burning the bat building down." He burst out laughing. So did I. It felt good. Saturday evening I put on the dress, pearls lipstick, soft waves in my hair. I looked in the mirror. The woman looking back still had the scar of that Sunday. But she also had strength. "Touch the sleeve. Let's try again," I whispered. Terrence picked me up. When he saw me, his eyes filled. "You look beautiful, Mama." "Thank you." Nadia was in the car. She got out and came around. She looked at the dress, then at me. "You look stunning." I believed she meant it. We went to a small restaurant with warm lights and white tablecloths. When we arrived, Terrence gave the name. The hostess smiled. "Reservation for 3? 3, not 2 in a kitchen nook. 3. She led us to a table near the window. 3 place settings, 3 chairs. Terrence pulled one out for me, not because I could not do it, because he wanted to honor me. I sat. Nadia sat across from me. Terrence, beside her. For a moment, none of us spoke. Then Nadia lifted her water glass. "To Mrs. Hayes," she said. I smiled. "To Joyce," I corrected. Her eyes widened, then softened. "To Joyce." Terrence smiled. "To Mama." I lifted my glass. "To tables with enough chairs." We all laughed, and this time the laughter did not hide pain. It made room around it. After that dinner, something changed. Not everything. Real life is not that simple. But something. Nadia started calling me Joyce. Not always. Sometimes she slipped back into Mrs. Hayes when she was nervous. But then she would catch herself. "Joyce," she would say, and I would nod. Terrence became more present. Not perfect. No son is, but present. He stopped waiting until after the harm to be brave. He learned to move when disrespect first entered the room. That is a lesson many men need. Silence can look peaceful from the outside. But inside a family, silence often chooses a side. My son had chosen silence that night. Later he chose me in action. That mattered. The Parkers changed too, in their own polished way. Vivian sent a handwritten note. Not typed, not formal, handwritten. Joyce, I have thought often about that dinner. I am sorry I allowed appearances to matter more than your dignity. I hope one day we can share a meal where everyone knows they belong. Vivian, I placed the note in a drawer. Not near my Bible, not in the trash, just a drawer. Some apologies are worth keeping, but not yet worth framing. Charles called Terrence and told him he had respected how he ended the dinner. That surprised me. Maybe shame had visited that house too. Good. It needed to know the address. One Sunday afternoon, almost a year after the dinner, Terrence asked if he and Nadia could host my birthday. My first reaction was, no. Fast, hard, immediate. He heard it before I said it. "Mama," he said, "we don't have to." I looked at him. We were sitting on my porch. The evening air was warm. The roses were blooming. Calvin's wind chime moved softly. "Why do you want to host it?" I asked. He took his time. "To honor you, not to prove anything. Not to erase what happened. Just to celebrate you." I looked at him. "And Nadia?" It was her idea to ask. But she said only if you truly want it. I looked out at the yard. Birthdays are tender after 70. You start counting people missing from the table. Calvin, my parents, old friends. You also start noticing how people treat your presence, like a blessing or a burden. "I will think about it," I said. "Okay." He did not push. That helped. A week later, Nadia came by. She brought no plans, no menu, no folder. She sat with me in the living room. "Terrence told me you're thinking about the birthday," she said. "I am. I want you to know something." I waited. "If you say yes, you choose the guest list, the food, the time, and where you sit." I smiled a little. "Where I sit?" She looked embarrassed. "Yes, I know." "Good," she continued. "And if you say no, I will not be offended." That might be the most grown thing you've ever said to me. She laughed softly. "I'm learning." I said yes. Not because I had forgotten, because I wanted the memory repaired in the same family, not necessarily the same room. But I set conditions. Small dinner, close family only. No formal name cards unless everyone had one and I approved the seating. My lemon pound cake would be served, and I would sit at the main table. Nadia wrote nothing down. She simply listened, then repeated it back. That was better than a clipboard. On my birthday, I wore the purple dress again. Yes, the same one. Calvin's dress. My dress. No insult was going to own it. When I arrived at Terrence and Nadia's house, the porch lights were on. But this time, I did not feel like I was walking into a performance. The door opened before I knocked. Nadia stood there smiling nervously. "Happy birthday, Joyce!" She hugged me. A real hug. Terrence appeared behind her. "Happy birthday, Mama." He hugged me too. Long, steady. Inside, the dining room table was set beautifully, but not coldly. Flowers dot candles, simple plates. No gold charges trying to prove a point. There was a place at the center of the table. Not the end, not the corner, the center. A card sat on the plate. It said, Mama Joyce. I touched it with my fingers. My throat tightened. Nadia stood beside me. I know we don't need name cards, she said softly, but I wanted you to see it. I looked at her. You wanted me to see I had a place. She nodded, eyes wet. Yes. I picked up the card. Mama Joyce. 2 words I had offered her years ago. 2 words she had not been ready to use. Now there they were, written in her careful hand. I sat at the table, not because someone squeezed me in, because a place had been made. Dinner was simple. Roast chicken, greens, macaroni, salad, rolls, and my lemon pound cake on a cake stand in the center of the dessert table, not in the pantry. When everyone sat, Terence remained standing. He looked nervous. I sighed. Terence, if this is a speech, it better be short. I am hungry. Everyone laughed. He smiled. It is short. He looked at me. Mama, last year I let you stand in my dining room without a place. I have apologized, but I want to say again in front of family that it was wrong. You should never have had to leave to teach us how to honor you. My eyes filled. He continued. This year we are grateful you are here. Not for what you cooked, not for what you brought, just for you. Kim wiped tears. Ruth looked suspiciously at the ceiling, which meant she was trying not to cry. Nadia stood next. My heart tightened. She took a breath. Joyce, I placed you in the kitchen because I cared more about appearances than love. I am sorry. Thank you for giving me the chance to know you better instead of only judging me by my worst moment. I looked at her. You judged me by less than my whole self, too. She nodded. I did. Now we both know better. She smiled through. Tears, yes. Then Ruth lifted her glass. Well, since everybody is confessing, I confess I came prepared to inspect the seating arrangement. Everyone laughed, she continued. But I see a chair. I see a plate. I see cake not hidden in a pantry. The Lord is moving. That broke the tension completely. We ate. We laughed. At one point, Nadia asked me to tell the saltine cracker proposal story. I told it. Terence nearly choked laughing. Kim said, Daddy would hide a ring in crackers. Ruth said, Calvin had romance and poor planning, the room filled with memory. Good memory, the kind that does not hurt as much because people are helping you carry it. After dinner, Nadia brought out the cake, my cake. Candles glowing, everyone sang. Not beautifully, but loudly. I looked around the table while they sang. My son, my daughter, my sister, my daughter-in-law. Family. Not perfect, but present. When I blew out the candles, I made one wish. Not for youth, not for money, not for everything to be easy. I wished that I would never again betray myself just to be included. Later that night, after I went home, I hung the purple dress carefully in my closet. I stood there looking at it. That dress had now seen love, humiliation, courage, apology, and repair. A full life, like me. I touched the sleeve. We're all right, I whispered, and I meant it. Now let me say this from my heart before I finish this story. If this story touched you, please like this video, subscribe to Voices of Auntie Lily, and write in the comments what you would have done if your own family invited you to dinner but gave you no seat at the table. Your likes and comments help this story reach another mother, auntie, grandmother, or lonely parent who may be sitting somewhere feeling pushed aside. And if you want more emotional family stories about betrayal, forgiveness, boundaries, and healing, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Because sometimes a story is not just entertainment. Sometimes it reminds someone that they still matter. Final life lesson. Never beg for a seat at a table where your love helped build the house. If your family invites you, they should make room for all of you. Not just your cooking, not just your help, not just your quiet forgiveness. You, your voice, your history, your dignity, your place. And if they forget your worth, you are allowed to stand up. You are allowed to take your cake back. You are allowed to leave with your head high and your best dress still beautiful. Because being humble does not mean being hidden. Being older does not mean being pushed aside, and being a mother does not mean accepting every insult just to keep the peace. A real family does not ask you to sit alone in the kitchen while they smile in the dining room. A real family pulls out a chair, looks you in the eye, and says, "Mama, your place is here with us."